Hello, this is the Cluster API Provider AWS meeting of 22nd February 2021. Please be aware we're abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct. Board leaders be excellent to each other. Go put your name in the attending if you haven't already, and go through. First one is PSA's Fargate ADR has been accepted. Rich.
Yeah, I was. Mike was potentially going to join, but he's obviously not joining. So he is implementing the Fargate support in the Kappa side, in the EKS side of the provider. So we had some discussions about how to represent that from a resource kind point of view. Initially, we thought, yeah, let's try and make it like a different type of machine pool. But when he started to look at it, he realised that some of the properties on the machine pool don't map, and it doesn't naturally map to the Fargate profile. So has some input from David and Cecile from an AKS point of view with their Azure container instances. So we adopted a similar approach, but they map it to a sort of like a virtual node, don't they, or machine. Whereas this doesn't map, but we've got our own resource kind. It doesn't. There's no CAPI upstream alternative equivalent. Sorry. So we decided that, and that's enough to be able to look at. Mike's actually been implementing it, and he's pretty close to getting that done as well.
All right, cool. Is there? All right, cool. I take it you need approval from me then. Is that right? Or
we sort of decided it between us.
Oh, okay, no, that's fine.
But yeah, it would be good to get. I guess just before we merge it, I guess before it gets that far, just in case there's anything you really disagree with, because it might be.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the difference is like Azure are treating their one like almost as if it is another VM and can run multiple pods, but the Fargate one is very much the single pod, single instance, right? Like very much same as the vSphere.
Yeah. Well, Mike said, strangely enough, actually, if you do, a get nodes, it does appear as a node, but yeah, you don't interact with it on a node level, which is, I guess an implementation detail, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tied up with the virtual kubelet stuff. The history is interesting, but I'm sure you're aware of some of the stuff around that. We can talk about that offline.
Yeah, cool.
Kind of interesting story. All right, let's go over the action items. I still not opened the issue for the AMI CRD. That's still on me. EKS E2E test failures.
It's still ongoing.
Flake.
Yeah. To be honest, I got a bit distracted by adding some new functionality, so I do need to get back and carry on with that, to be honest.
All right. Do we have issues for each of? Is it like completely random, or is it consistently certain ones are failing?
From my testing, it seemed it consistently failed when I enabled both of the main tests, so the main suites. But it would fail at different points within that then. So it always seemed slightly random to me, but yeah, I just don't know, to be honest.
Fair enough. Do you want to take the next one? Is controller refactor for EKS?
Yeah, I guess this is driven by, the CAPI call the other day about the release date for V1 Alpha 4 and the 2-week freeze and stuff like that. Yeah. When I've been implementing the adopting a OIDC provider or associating an OIDC provider for authentication and adding it to the control plane types, it's made me realize that sort of needs a refactor because it's sort of just grown a bit organically, I guess. And things like, do we put the authentication stuff, do we structure it so that under authentication we have the IAM related configuration, and then the OIDC related configuration, just make it a bit nicer. Or so, yeah. Question was on how long do we have to make those type of changes for V1 Alpha 4, and the other one was about parallelizing the updates, but another part of that.
Yeah, I guess we should adopt the same sort of release approach, probably, possibly. I mean, proposals are due in today. I'm desperately trying to get some for core in today. Obviously, that's not, we can't just announce it. Oh, can you file a proposal in the next -2 hours, please? So maybe we should by next meeting, I guess, if you open a PR for what you want the shape of that to look like.
Yeah. I guess if we follow the same pattern, that means like beginning of April, there can be no more changes.
Yeah,
for
I think we
V1
can
Alpha
follow
4.
a bit behind, like, because
Yeah.
we need to do that, make sure the integration piece is together. We're always going to lag slightly core, but so I think that's kind of fine-ish. It might be worth having a chat with Harish from our side, see if there's like any desires. We will need to take care of like upgrades as well, like how to like doing web conversion webhooks, make sure if we're doing any large restructuring that adoption works, because they are building product on it.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be good to do that.
So I'll take an action item for that then. Yeah, cool.
And they'll also have very good like idea about what kind of like conditions and status stuff they'll want exposed, because they'll be consuming that downstream and sort of trying to expose that in like UIs and stuff. So they'll have a good feel of like what they need to know about the state of the cluster and stuff. So they will have some good feedback, I think.
Yeah, related to that, I think it was Harish, he mentioned when he was doing, testing it out, that we weren't setting conditions for when we did things like upgrading the version, and it stayed in the ready state as well. So Mike actually put a change in that when it's upgrading, there is an upgrading condition that indicates that. So hopefully that should satisfy that one scenario for them as well.
Yeah, they were really good for finding out problems like where we were lacking conditions elsewhere for all of the providers. So they've been pretty helpful for that, because they've been using it in anger. Just seen ZF added something, fix E2E multiple clusters test.
Yeah, I just noticed that it is failing constantly, so I'm gonna take a look at it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're gonna. Oh, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, put it down at the bottom. The action items at the top are the ones from last meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Next one, developer guidance around AWS SDK Enums. Oh no, skipped over. Have I skipped? No. Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah. So for again, when I was doing the OADC stuff, there's a bunch of enums around update types and update status. So previously, we've sort of replicated those, our own versions of those into Kappa, things like EC2 instance state and stuff like that. So I was wondering what the guidance, if there is any guidance around whether we replicate those so we don't automatically inherit and expose, AWS enum types, or does it matter if it's used for the spec and the status and only?
Yeah, so Yeah, so again, it's like people like Harry who are like consuming them. You don't want to directly expose the AWS types to them, so that if someone's writing a controller that's manipulating cluster API resources, they're not sort of having to import the AWS SDK. So that's the reason. We should probably put an ADR around that, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's the only reason. We did similar stuff in core cluster API around hiding an XCD types in Kubadium control plane. So it's like a thin layer, so you don't constantly import XCD just to see the condition of the control plane.
I thought that would be the answer, but yeah, just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Next one as well, isn't it? Really, again, this is all related to this work where so we're adding this provider association in there. It has no wait function in the SDK. So at the moment, most of the controllers will take an action and then they'll call the SDK wait functions and that literally waits at that point within the reconcile loop. So it sort of on the back of a comment you made about, so I said I was going to like requeue and then it will come back. It's just whether we should write a ADR and stuff like that as the guidance, that requeue is always preferable, etc.
Yeah, so you'll actually find in the proposals directory, right from the early days of the project, there's already like an ancient guidance, but we didn't do it because at the time in 2018, a lot of the APIs didn't support the idempotency token. They do now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will need like if we go along the requeue stuff, we will have to. So I think what happens now is if you don't provide a idempotency ID, every time you make the SD call, it's gonna just generate a new one internally and use it for the internal retry behavior. Yep. But we also want it for the complete requeue operation as well. Yep. So we will need a way to track idempotency tokens, I guess, for operations.
Yeah.
We need to decide whether it should go on the status and spec, given the requirements around pivoting and restoring state. If the idempotency.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't have a clear answer on that. Yeah, so I think it still needs some thought, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I could use they've got this updates API as well, so you can get a list of updates that are in progress for an EKS cluster, which is really quite handy. But they've butchered the API, so you get a list of update IDs. So that's one request, and then you have to loop around that and make another request to get the details of that update. So there's no way. So it's like you have to do 20 calls if you just want to get the status of 20 updates, and you can't filter, and then you have to do separate calls for the updates for the control plane, node groups, and add-ons. So there's no one like get me all of the updates, which is
yeah. Okay.
crazy. But yeah, that would have been ideal in this type of scenario, but as well.
Yeah, so we need to, and also I don't know if the EKS API support idempotency tokens or whether that's just EC2, and like, yeah, I think we need to do some research.
Yeah, that's the same thing as is it the client request ID or whatever it's called?
Not sure, might be.
Yeah, yeah, research for it.
I don't know. Yeah. Let's find out. Cool. And I'll find out for. I'm going to make idempotency for EC2. I'll have a look for both. I'll have a look. I'll do the I'll find out what we can do. So I need to learn the EKS stuff anyway. So, all right, final one. Yeah, Sedef on multi-tenancy.
Yes. So we need. So we have a new type for giving authorization to use controller credentials, and we need that instance to be created for the existing clusters when we bump to a version that supports multi-tenancy. So initially we thought to add this into infrastructure.yaml so that we don't ask users to create that new instance. But then since this is a new type, we actually can't create it in the infrastructure YAML at the same time of creating the CRD itself and creating an instance of it. So we have two options now. We can either bump the version that supports multi-tenancy to 0.70, or we can put this multi-tenancy feature behind a feature gate. So what would be preferable to you guys?
Yeah.
I'm tempted to say we bump the version v7 and make v1 alpha 4 v08.
I mean, I also would prefer to bump it because multi-tenancy is a feature that that might be used widely, and it will be difficult to put it behind the feature gate than like graduate it to full feature. I mean, it will be a bit unnecessary work.
Yeah, and it's such a major change and it's security impacting. I feel putting a conditional around it feels dodgy. It's big enough feature that like EKS, it makes sense to announce as a big new thing. Sorry, Rich.
So it's because you've done the version bump. That means in the release notes you'd have something saying create this instance of this CRD.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's exactly what we did for EKS, wasn't it? And we had the manual instructions about how to enable the provider.
The only theoretical issue with this is that we are making a breaking change within the v1 alpha 3 series, kind of. We could start going ahead of, well, I don't know.
So the problem is so that you need the kind to already exist to create the instance.
Yeah, you need webhooks running, right? So you can't. So if you apply an infrastructure components, it's just errors because it's it's not ready yet.
Yeah. You can't do it over 2 releases, so get the kinds in there in 1 release.
Actually, that's an idea, isn't it? Could do it that way.
What's it? Can you repeat?
So I was thinking,
Like
could
just,
you?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, there you go.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, could you just do it in 2 releases where in the first release you deploy the kind, and then in the next release you actually create that required instance of the kind. It's just like a little release planning a bit, isn't it? I guess.
But then we shouldn't allow bumping from the one version to another without first upgrading to the one that's
true. Yeah,
that will be a requirement.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But yeah, so yeah. yeah, that wouldn't work because if some people went from the current version straight to the new one, then the kind won't exist with it. Yeah.
It's either that or is it maybe it is a feature gate like a lot of the EKS stuff and still also have it a v07. So it's both new and feature gated. I don't like the feature gating security stuff though, but maybe there isn't a sane answer. Yeah.
Or in the controller for 0.3.3 releases, we can, I mean, we can just create the instance in the controller. It will be hacky, but I mean, nothing will be changed. Behavioral change won't exist. And when we upgrade to 0.4.0 releases, we will remove that creation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe then do the hacky creation and controller and feature gate that. So I'll add a flag to disable it, that you can disable the hacky creation. So someone could deploy secure by default, control everything manually. But by default for this series, we do it for you. And then the next release, we go, no, sort yourself out, do it properly.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Right.
That would work.
Does that work for you, Steph?
Yes.
All right. Okay, cool. That's the end of the agenda. Is there anything else?
No, do we need a ADR for that decision?
I think Sedef can just update the existing proposal, like as in the entire multi-tenancy proposal.
Yeah, cool.
Just had some folk join as well, just noted. We've come to the end of our agenda, folks. Xiao and Noana. Is there anything you'd like to bring up?
No, I just want to meet you guys again.
So, all right, well, that's the end of the meeting. Right, we'll see you all in 2 weeks. I will add a final action item that I need to upload the last couple of videos. All right, see you all in 2 weeks. Bye.
See ya, bye.